Hello and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering and persecuted church around the world. Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, is equally divided between Muslims and Christians, and debate persists as to which is in the majority. Christians predominate in the south, while the north is majority Muslim. Nigeria's constitutional status is a federal republic based on a model of the USA, but in the north, this constitutional position is complicated by the introduction of Islamic Sharia law in the year 2000. Sadly, Nigeria's Christian community has been victim to increasing violence perpetrated by radical Islamic fundamentalists, by Boko Haram in the north, and more recently by Fulani herdsmen in Nigeria's Middle Belt, attacking Christian churches and villages, killing priests, religious, and parishioners. To tell us more, it's my great privilege to welcome the Bishop of the Bauchi diocese in northeastern Nigeria, His Excellency Bishop Hilary Dachelem. Bishop Dachelem is responsible for 70,000 Catholics out of a total population of about 6.5 million, mainly Muslim inhabitants. Welcome, Your Excellency, and thank you for being with us here today in our program.
Thank you, Mark.
Your Excellency, the north where you're from, the Bauchi state, has always been a difficult area for Muslims and Christians. Can you give us a little bit of context as to what's going on in this area of the world? Why has this area been always a sort of an area of tension?
North was not like that before. Originally, North was peaceful.
You lived together in harmony.
We lived together in the barracks and everything. You live with the Muslims next door. During Christmas, you give to them some gifts, and during Salah, they also give us some gifts. That was what I saw, I grew into. But suddenly, in the late 80s, a little fundamentalist group came up in Kano and was a bit violent. And then from there, sparks of violence started from there to Kaduna and a few places like that.
This would be Boko Haram now?
Now it metamorphosed into something called Boko Haram, but the first one was called Metesine. But, then other ones came in. And now the explosive one is the Boko Haram that has conscripted all the areas of Maiduguri and the northeast, including diocese in Bauchi, and have done a lot of violent acts and destroyed lots of churches and some mosques too.
Why did suddenly this, after having lived together for years and years and years, suddenly this sparks of radicalization? Was it a frustration? Was it poverty? Was it illiteracy? Why suddenly this spark out of nothing of radicalization?
That's a beautiful question. Honestly, I think probably is the incoming of some fundamentalist group with their ideologies.
Coming from outside, for example?
It seems it's coming from outside because our people that we are not originally, we know we've had a civil war, but it was ethnic and political. It wasn't religious. So for this cankerworm to come in, it's for us not clear. A lot of new fundamentalist group, terrorist group now all over the world. So you never can say how they come in with their own ideologies. And so it's possible also some have been trained outside and then they came in to perpetrate some ideologies.
What kind of persecution are we talking about? You mentioned attacks on churches.
Yeah.
What is, first of all, I want to talk about the Christian persecution and then go to the wider picture of the political instability or destabilization. So let's talk about first the Christian persecution.
Yeah, there is the Christian side, and I must say, not all Muslims. Not all. They have suffered as well. But there is this fundamentalist group that targets Christians. So they destroy churches. At some point, even there are about 26 parishes in Maiduguri were closed. I remember some of the priests have to be
sent away,
shared out to other dioceses in the north.
Because of risk to their lives?
Yes, yes. And then this period also, some churches were burnt. In the diocese of Bauchi, which include Gombe, about 9 churches were burnt in this area.
Were you in Bauchi at this time?
No, I wasn't.
No, you
there.
were in the east.
I wasn't there. I was partly in the east and then partly in Shandam.
So you came after this had occurred?
Yes, I came after that to notice that it has happened.
And the people, how are they now? Is there fear between them? Or is there a desire, let's say, to live together? How do you find this relationship?
Yeah, there is fear in the Christians, but precisely living in the north. So we have to struggle to assure them that peace must return. And then we have to go into interreligious dialogue to be able to streamline our relationship. So in a kind of dialogue of life, making sure that we relate properly as humans, humans first. That will help us to reduce tension.
Exactly. I want to come to this question of the dialogue. I want first, though, you're working with the people, with the Christians, to assure them, but at the same time, you have to put security guards outside the churches for every Holy Mass.
Yes.
But, as you mentioned, many mosques have to do the same.
Yes, because initially we thought the Boko Haram, there was confusion. Initially it was like about Christians, then later it became socio-political. They were bombing some embassies, bombing some public structures, okay? Then later, even mosques. So the whole thing became a little bit confusing, what exactly they want. But it seems to me it is ideological.
Exactly, I wanted to ask you, what is it they want?
Well, historically, it's like they had issues with the government. And their leader was either put under arrest or killed, so to say. And since then, I guess some of them saw that some areas will know no peace, so long as I imagine something like that happening. So they feel they're unhappy for the treatment given to them by government.
However, they have now officially affiliated themselves with ISIS. So, if I understand, I don't know. I want you to tell me if you know about this as well. From what I understand,
is that they seem to have different tentacles.
Okay.
They seem to have different tentacles. There are different schools of thought as when it comes to this matter, as they are not really very concrete issues.
So tell me the difference, just very briefly. What are the differences?
They say there's some of them that are really fundamentalist Muslims, some are not fundamentalist. Then there are some of them that also have something to do with ISIS, some of these terrorist groups.
Radical Arab terrorist group.
Yes. So, and there are some of them that have to do with Al-Qaeda and all that. So we hear of such connections, and then it's difficult to actually discern precisely which. But all we know is that there is destruction going on from time to time, destruction to properties, destruction of lives, and menacing the whole nation.
Today, where's the money coming from? These people, these radical fundamentalist groups are exceedingly well armed, and they have somehow means and access to resources which would apparently go above and beyond their own local resources. Do you have, or does the church or does the community have a sense of where this money is coming from, where they're being
that's another perplexing question. A lot of schools of thought again. Some say...
So tell me 2 words, the different ones.
Yes.
Some people say...
Some people say some big-time politicians, Nigerian politicians, also have hands in it. Some say it comes from overseas Muslim countries like Iran and all that. Some say those Islamic terrorist group sponsor it.
You spoke earlier this year about the 110 girls.
Yes.
You called out to the government,
Yeah.
first of all, the fact that 110 girls were kidnapped, and this is already on top of the 200 girls, the
Yes.
Chibo girls
Yeah.
that had been already kidnapped some 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now a further 110. And you went out and you said to the government, it's enough. We have to get over past these different issues that we have and
Yes.
just get these girls back.
It's painful. Isn't it painful? Innocent girls. I mean, we're not done with the Chibok case.
They're still not all back.
They are not back. They have done a permanent damage to the lives of these girls. I mean, are we insane in this country? Are we insane? Do we not have any sense of devotion and respect for life anymore? Has it gotten to this point whereby we just have not, the whole world is looking at us? That is messing up the life of how many girls? We are not yet done, and you are telling us about another kidnap? How did it all happen? Where are the security guys? Who are those responsible? And then at the same time, 110 or so, 100, and all of them came back safely. And then the case of one Christian, Leah, left in hostage. Man, who is deceiving who in this country? We can't toe this line and have it safe. We don't joke. We don't play around with life. Go to all the countries in the world that have made it. They don't toy with the life of anybody. For Israelites, the life of one person is like the life of 10 people all out there, or 100. Why should Nigerians find life so cheap? It's a worrisome matter, my brother Mark. I feel terrible about it. And I feel anybody worthy of the name Nigeria should jettison every culture of death, every culture of violence. This is not the way to develop. If we have ideologies that we want to promote, or we have a case, let's pursue them appropriately. We don't go to innocent people and start taking their life. Children, if all these guys that are fighting Boko Haram, Niger Delta, if their lives were taken as this, would they be where they are to fight what they are doing? No. That's why we must respect life. And we must shun politics. When it comes to life, politics, business, everything has to stay aside and let us respect it. Even God does.
I want to move away from the Boko Haram a little bit and address another issue which is developing, sadly, also the Fulani herdsmen in the Middle Belt. Now, this is somehow also geopolitically for the region almost more important, if I might put it like that. It's perhaps not right to say, but the question of Boko Haram has been limited to the north. Now we're coming to an area in the Middle Belt of Nigeria where Christians and Muslims are in greater, let's say, closer proportion to each other, 50-50. No? Yeah. And here's a group, the Fulani, who previously, as I understand, and please correct me, herdsmen who used to just bring their cattle in and negotiate with the Christian farmers and say, I want to have my cattle graze here, and then move on. And that was it. But this somehow has also been turned into a problem of violence, and again, weapons coming in where you think this is above and beyond the local resources of these people.
Here again is another puzzle. I'll call it a puzzle because these guys were also peace-loving people, the Fulanis, the ones we knew before. They could come to you, they were the most less educated before, and so they move in the bushes and whatever. Could be hostile if you provoke them. They were not known to be very violent people. But all of a sudden, from nowhere, we see issues. Now, could it be Boko Haram in another phase? We don't know. Could it be infiltration of some people from the neighboring countries to also subject Nigeria into the same condition they find themselves? Because some neighboring countries have been in war for long.
And Nigeria not?
Nigeria had, but
But you are generally, what I'm trying to say is you are generally a peace-loving people.
We are peace-loving people.
Joyful, peace-loving people.
Yes. But you know we have some abundance for Africa.
You're
for Africans, they believe Nigeria is a home of abundance. They believe we have a lot.
And you do.
And we do have the opportunities. We're exposed to all kinds of, a lot of blessings actually from God. Material resources, green, a lot that they can see and we cannot see some of them. So it is possible that there is infiltration. Now they have done a lot of havoc to our state, particularly Makurdi, where I worked. And if it is Fulanis, history had a little relationship between Fulanis and the thieves, and it used to be a friendly relationship. How all of a sudden the whole thing turned upside down, we can't say. So now they have killed a lot of people there, and the worst is that it's in the increase, both in Makurdi, in Benue State, in Plateau State, in Nasarawa State, in Taraba, and a number of states in the Northeast. And this gives you an indication as if some script is being played out.
What's the answer?
Well, the answer, I think, I think the answer is a call for every Nigerian to have a change of mind, to consider Nigeria first. There is a less sense of patriotism on the part of Nigerians, beginning from the ordinary Nigerian to the president. I mean, people also have pointed hands to the president, saying that he's not done a lot.
That he's been dragging his feet.
He is dragging his feet over what is obvious. And the worst is because of what happened where, before he is coming in, he had to speak to the bishops at some point. And the bishops, looking at him, assessing him from the past, trusted him. And he has failed the bishops. For the bishops, he has dribbled them for now. And can you imagine a politician coming to dribble a man of God or people of God? It's terrible, because they believe that if, we are not saying he has hands here or there, but he and his government owe us something, because we are running a democratic system. In democracy, there is freedom of vote, there is freedom of this. In democracy, there is constitutionalism. In democracy, there is liberalism.
And as we spoke about earlier, the rule of law.
Rule of law. That's the constitutionalism. The rule of law is under the Constitution. The Constitution is the first law that has to be kept. Then the rule of law comes in very central in democratic setting, because that is where the supremacy of the law.
So the rule of law is missing in Nigeria?
Of course, because some people have proved to be above the law for quite some time. In the past, cases have happened where some are called to come and give account, some didn't appear before the court. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. Whoever, the law is supposed to be no respecter of no person. That's what the rule of law is. That's how it works.
I want to come to the church.
Yes.
The priests who have been attacked, priests who have been killed, sisters who have been attacked, parishioners.
Yes.
And yet the church stays with its people. What sign is this? What sign of witness, what sign of testimony is this towards the average Nigerian, particularly in the north where the Muslims who are seeing this witness of fidelity to their people?
Well, that's the call. That's the call. The call is not to be a call of convenience, not a marriage of convenience. It's a marriage for life. So, Mark, if we are friends when things are okay, when things become bad, should we cease to be friends? If we cease to be friends, then it becomes a fair weather friendship. The relationship, the missionary relationship with the people is for life. So we have to continue. Christ didn't give up. He carried his cross till the end, and we will carry it to the end.
The joy of the people.
Yes, very happy people.
Amazing, notwithstanding all the, not only the what we've been talking about, the dramatic issues, but just struggle of day-to-day life, and yet, where is this wellspring of joy in Nigerian people?
No, honestly, the Nigerians are fantastic people. They are very happy people. They are people who can manage crisis, honestly. If not, I tell you, Nigeria should have been upside down by now. But because the Nigerians are really not demanding too much, if you understand what democracy and sovereignty is all about. They are only saying, demos, the government of the people. The people are only saying, we have come and we have entered into a pact, a political agreement. We need, be there, represent us, give us what we need. And what we need is peace. What we need is good jobs. What we need are opportunities. What we need are good schools, hospitals. This is what we need. Basic things found everywhere in the world. Why is it difficult for Nigeria to give this back? Why is it that some few will hijack it and then feel comfortable that others are in trouble? That's what the Nigerians are. It takes just a little to make Nigerians feel good. So they're really naturally happy people. They are resilient people. They're able to stand all kinds of things. Okay? We know, we complain too, like other places, but generally they are happy people. And that's why they keep going in spite of what happens. You hear killings here, we come, talk about it, cry, and tomorrow we continue.
You touched on one area which I also want to address. It. Corruption is the cancer.
Yeah.
How do you... So many of politicians, not only in Nigeria, not only in Africa, in all parts of the world, many of these politicians have gone through Catholic schools, have been educated, and still this issue has not been rooted out as part of the fundamental teaching of the human person.
Yeah, the issue is about contentment, Mark. Contentment. There is no how, Mark, you can have everything you want in the world. And it has to be clear that you can't have everything. So you just get what you need, basically. And then move on. Then discipline. Discipline. I mean, the discipline. Then the rule of law. Again, back to the rule of law. Because where your own privilege, your right ends, another person's rights begins. So you have to respect the other person's right. You know, ours is no longer corruption. Ours is sickness, narcissism.
Why? How?
Kleptomania. I mean, when somebody cannot but steal money, what's it? Is it not sickness?
But narcissism?
Egoism.
Egoism.
Egoism. You just feel like everything to yourself. I mean, life cannot just everything to yourself. How long are you going to live in this world? I mean, when you hear of people stealing billions of naira, billions of dollars, you ask yourself, what and what will that be done for? You use one car at a go, you sleep in one room at a go, you have one office at a go, and yet you are not satisfied. What do you want? You know, one mad guy came to where a rich man was being buried, and he said, hey guys, are you foolish guys? How are you, the tomb is too small. This man is rich, he has a big house. Why don't you bring the house in there? You understand what I'm trying to say? Good. That is the madness that is happening to us. Even a mad person is able to discover that we are mad. So that madness has to stop. Discipline, some sanity. And we have to establish the fact that, look, one in life, we need just contentment to be happy. We don't need too much. Our happiness does not depend on our material acquisition or political positions.
The church in Bauchi.
Yes.
Helping the people.
Yes.
Schools, seminarians, religious sisters, clinics.
Yes.
How can we help? What do you need? How can we help?
We have a lot of areas of need. First of all, those churches that have been destroyed, we've not rebuilt them all. I was there last 3 weeks in a place called Bajoga in Gombe State. We just worshiped out, and we were thoroughly beaten by rain. I can still show you the picture, how I was also beaten. All of us were inside, stuck with the rains. So those areas we need help. We don't have any hospital in Bauchi. We just got a place now trying to view. So we need a hospital. Because sometimes the Christians also go through some form of discrimination in the hospitals. So we need even the Muslims too. They need schools. They need the local Muslim school. They need some form of sanity. They need food. Their children go out begging for them. They could be organized in a better way. They could be helped. Some of them pick food in the dustbin. I mean,
it's not a life. What else can we do? You've mentioned your churches,
yes,
education, seminarians. Where hospitals? What
yes.
else?
Oh, we have an institute now we're starting for evangelization. It's an institute because the place is poor. So we want to start an institute with technology for skills acquisition. There's a need for both Muslims and Christians.
Vocational training.
Yes, vocational training. So I'm beginning that institute in October. So I want a way we can come together. I've spoken to the government about a peace center where we can come together, talk about ourselves, relate freely and normally. That's it's an executive program, but I'm just looking for like skills training center where it's a need. The young people will be provided for. If they have trade, most of them will not go into violence. I think so.
If they have work?
You have their work, yeah. If they have trade, something to live on.
Your Excellency, thank you for having been with us today in our program.
Thank you.
It was really great.
Thank you so much, Mark. So keep praying for us. We need your prayers.
Yes.
And we need your support.
Thank you. And you pray for us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the work of His Excellency Bishop Dachelem in the Diocese of Bauchi, in the northeastern part of Nigeria, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.